Everyone in that building saw me push a mop. Nobody saw the laptop I opened at 3 a.m. For 4 years, I emptied the trash cans of people who made 10 times my salary, and every single one of them looked straight through me like I was part of the furniture. They never learned my name. They never had to, because to them I was invisible. What none of them knew was that being invisible was the best thing that ever happened to me. And by the time they finally saw me, I wasn't holding a mop anymore. I was holding a contract worth more than that entire office floor. But let me take you back to the beginning, to the keycard I still keep in my desk drawer to this day. I was 32 years old, working the overnight shift as a janitor in a downtown office tower, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., 5 nights a week. I cleaned the floors of a company full of people building careers, closing deals, and going home to houses I'd never be able to afford. My daughter was 4. I'd kiss her goodnight, drive downtown, and clock into a building that was already dark and empty. Here's the thing nobody tells you about being a night shift janitor. You become a ghost. You move through spaces that belong to other people. You learn their habits. Whose desk is always a disaster. Who leaves sticky notes everywhere. Who cries in the stairwell at midnight thinking no one can hear. And because you're invisible, you have something almost nobody else has. Silence, time, and absolutely no one watching what you do with it. Most guys on my crew used that time to scroll their phones. I don't blame them. The work is exhausting and thankless. But I had a 4-year-old and a stack of bills. And somewhere deep down I had this stubborn, quiet refusal to accept that this was the whole story of my life. So on my 30-minute lunch break at 3 a.m., in an empty glass conference room on the 14th floor, I'd open a cracked secondhand laptop. And I taught myself to write code. I want to be honest with you about how hard this actually was, because the internet makes it look easy. I knew nothing. I mean, nothing. I didn't know what a function was. Free tutorials on my phone, downloaded in advance because there was no Wi-Fi password I was allowed to have. 30 minutes a night, sometimes 15, if a bathroom on the 9th floor decided to flood. I'd finish my shift at 6, drive home as the sun came up, sleep while my daughter was at daycare, wake up exhausted, and do it all again. For months, I understood almost nothing. I'd stare at error messages I couldn't read and feel like the world's biggest idiot. There was a night I nearly quit for good. I'd spent 3 weeks building my very first little program, and it broke the moment I tried to run it. I sat in that dark conference room at 3 a.m., forehead on the cold glass table, and I thought, who are you kidding? You clean toilets for a living. People like you don't build things. I almost closed the laptop for the last time, but here's the part that changed everything. I looked up, and I saw it. Taped to the wall of my supervisor's office downstairs was the thing I saw every single night and had never really looked at. The schedule. The company that employed me, the cleaning company, not the fancy tenants, ran everything on paper. Handwritten shift sheets, crossed out names, phone calls at midnight when someone didn't show, payroll done by hand, always wrong, always short. My own paychecks had been miscalculated 4 times that year, and it hit me like a slap. I didn't need to build the next big flashy app. I didn't need Silicon Valley. I already knew a broken, chaotic, billion-dollar boring problem better than anyone. Because I lived inside it every night. So I stopped following random tutorials, and I started building one thing. A dead simple app to schedule cleaning crews, track who showed up, and calculate pay correctly. It took me 7 more months of 3 a.m. sessions. I built it for the exact world I stood in. Night shifts, no-shows, multiple buildings, hourly workers. Things a normal programmer sitting in an office would never even think about. But I wasn't a normal programmer. I was a janitor who'd been burned by every one of those problems. The night I finally got the first working version running on my phone, I didn't tell a soul. 3 weeks later, my supervisor almost lost our biggest contract. 2 crews got double booked, A client's office went uncleaned for 2 nights, and the man was standing in his cramped office at 4 a.m., absolutely drowning in crossed-out paper, about to lose the account that kept 40 of us employed. I'd never spoken more than 10 words to him, but I walked in, pulled out my phone, and said the sentence I'd been too scared to say for a year. "I think I built something that fixes this." He looked at me the way everyone in that building looked at me, like the furniture had started talking. Then he actually watched the screen. He tapped through the schedule. He saw the payroll add up correctly for the first time in his career. And this grown man, running on no sleep, looked at the janitor standing in front of him and quietly said, "Where did you get this?" "I made it," I said, "for us." He didn't lose the contract. He put the whole company on my app within a month. Word travels fast in an industry everyone ignores. Another cleaning company heard about the tool, then a third. It turns out there are tens of thousands of small commercial cleaning businesses in this country, all drowning in the exact same paper chaos I'd lived in. And not one piece of software had ever been built by someone who actually pushed the mop. I quit the night shift 8 months later. Not because I was too good for it. Because I finally had something bigger to build. I taught myself to charge a monthly fee. I taught myself to sell. My first 10 customers became 100. 100 became more than I could count on the paper schedules I'd left behind. The day my little app crossed $1 million in yearly revenue, I did something strange. I drove back downtown to that same office tower. I signed in at the front desk as a vendor. My company was now pitching our software to the building's entire facilities division. I rode the elevator to the 14th floor. And I walked past the glass conference room where I used to sit at 3 a.m. with my forehead on the table. Somebody was in a meeting in there. They looked up, saw a man in a collared shirt with a laptop bag, and looked right back down, still invisible. And I smiled, because this time it was on my terms. So here's what 4 years of night shifts actually taught me. Everybody's chasing a spotlight. They think success means being seen, being praised, being noticed. But I built everything I have because nobody was watching. No one expected anything from me, so no one could stop me. My invisibility wasn't a prison. It was cover. And I didn't win because I was a genius. I won because I already knew a real problem. The boring, unglamorous problem sitting right in front of me every night. Better than any expert ever could. Your job, the one you might hate, is quietly teaching you something valuable. Most people just never open the laptop. I still keep that old building keycard in my desk drawer. It doesn't work anymore. But every time I see it, I remember the ghost who used to push a mop past millionaires and quietly decided to become one. Whatever you're pushing right now, they're not watching. So build. If this story hits you the way it hit me, do me one favor, tap that subscribe button, and go watch the next video right now because your climb to the top starts the moment this one ends.